If you're heading into hip replacement or you're in the process of recovery, it's really important to know what not to do, because this is going to make your process a lot smoother, easier, and reduce your anxiety. You want that. Hi, I'm Lorna Kleidman. I'm an 8-time world champion athlete, personal trainer, and the creator of Hip Ease. I've had both my hips replaced, and I want to help you through the process of your procedure and then to help you recover afterward, after your surgeon has given you the green light and you've finished physical therapy. In this video, I'm going to share with you some of the most common mistakes I see people making in their procedure as well as their recovery. This way you can avoid it and have a smoother, easier process and a better outcome. So let's get into it. The first mistake is putting off the surgery. When your hip has reached the point where you truly need the procedure, when it's bone on bone, you have no more cartilage left, you're in pain, or maybe you're not in pain, but you have severely limited range of motion, then delaying the procedure just means you're going to be longer in pain or limited mobility and lose confidence in your movements and have a reduced quality of life. I remember when I was almost bone on bone and I went to my first surgeon for my first side. He said, "You're not in pain, so come back when you're in pain." Well, my body was never in pain with either of my hips, but I had severely limited range of motion. Even though an x-ray may show a person's hip is bone to bone, they may not experience pain. And conversely, some people have a lot of pain even when their x-ray looks fairly normal. But once you're bone on bone and the quality of your movements is lacking, then it's time to consider it. And the longer you wait, the longer you try to tough it out, the more compensatory patterns are going to be built into your body, and unraveling them takes a lot of time and thoughtful, consistent effort. And today's procedures are so successful. If you have pain or very limited range of motion, you're bone on bone, that's not going to get better. So get it done, get back to your life. Mistake number 2, pushing through pain. This is for you active folks who are competitive, you like to jog, you like to play sports, you've probably pushed through discomfort your entire life, or at least, since you've been active. But this is not the way to go when you have hip issues or after your procedure. Especially after your procedure, you don't want to interfere with the healing process by pushing through discomfort or pain. That's not how our body is going to respond well. The third point is not so much a mistake, but something you want to be aware of, and that is what's normal to experience and what's not. So you're not panicking and wondering and going online and onto the forums and asking all kinds of questions. For example, I remember in the first few weeks after my first hip replacement, after I would stand from a seated position, I could feel the hardware in my joint. And this was a very strange sensation. And I would have to stay standing for about a minute before I could start to walk, so I could let my body adjust. There was also a little bit of clicking. I wasn't sure if this was normal, how long it would last, but yes, it's all normal. Another thing that's completely normal is intense swelling or bruising in the leg down to the ankle. Some people have this, some people don't. It depends on your body and the approach that your surgeon used. But there are lots of things that can happen that are normal. Things that you want to watch out for are high fevers, a lot of heat around the incision, things like that that would indicate an infection. And all of this is in my course. Things to look for, red flags, so you can contact your surgeon's office, or things that are totally normal that you don't need to panic about. Mistake number 4, overdoing it when you feel good. And this is, again, with my active people or people who are overachievers. You don't want to push too hard. When day 6 or 7 come, you're feeling really good, you're walking more, and you're like, yeah, I can start doing these deeper squats and I can do this and that. Just be careful, because you're still in the healing process. You want to take it step by step, gradually and consistently, and just be careful, especially of those movement precautions and whatever instructions your surgeon or your physical therapist has given you in those first few weeks. Mistake number 5 is not being intentional about how you're going to sleep. And this is not discussed enough. Sleep is imperative to your healing process. It's so important. For the most part, in the first couple weeks, you're going to sleep on your back. This can be either on a recliner or in your bed with your knees propped up with pillows and in a nice comfortable position. Now, I had a really hard time sleeping on my back because I'm a side sleeper, so I asked for a prescription of Ambien, and that helped me to sleep and to heal. You can sleep on your non-operative side. If you have one of those long pillows, it's going to go from your groin all the way down to your ankles. So the top operated side is supported. And then for sleeping on your operative side, you need to ask your surgeon or medical team about the timeline for that. Most surgeons will say 6 to 12 weeks, but if you've had an anterior approach, you may be able to sleep on the operated side sooner, but you need to check with your medical team. Mistake number 6 is not having a plan, not only for your recovery, but for your prehab. You want to get and stay strong as possible. Your legs, your hips, your glutes, your core, and your shoulders and arms, because when you leave the hospital, you're going to be ambulating with either a walker, a cane, or crutches. You're going to need that upper body strength also to get in and out of a chair, in and out of bed. Keeping your whole body strong prior to surgery is going to go a really long way to getting back to the activities that you love and just the daily activities of life. You're going to want to know how to set up your home as your healing sanctuary and have all the tools in place that you're going to need, and also understand the general timeline of the healing process. All of this information and so much more, including exercises, nutritional guidance, questions to ask your doctor, it's all in my Hip Ease course. This is for active adults who are either considering, preparing for, or recovering from hip replacement. And it doesn't take the place of your surgeon or your physical therapist guidelines. It works along with them. If you want to know more, see the link in the description. And if you like this video, please share, like, and subscribe. I'll see you at the next one for more information about your hip replacement journey and fitness in general.